Hello and welcome to No CB, a grand strategy podcast. I am your host, Liana, and I am here with our incredible panel, including Rose.
Hey there.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Lorris.
What's up?
And I'm actually hosting the stream for the first time in a while, so it might look a little bit different than when Rose or Lambert are usually hosting as I get used to switching between tabs while I'm talking again. It's very difficult.
You have the old image.
Yeah, I don't think I even have the new one downloaded. It's probably on Drive or something.
Oh, the music's a little
music
loud.
is a little loud, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't turn the music off. There we go. Okay.
So just to reiterate, if you couldn't hear
podcaster.
over the music, it's the first time that Liana has hosted in a while.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I even left myself a note. Make sure you turn the music off when the stream starts. And then I didn't do that. So, you know. Yeah. So we have our main topic today is going to be Imperator 2.0, but we're going to move that to sort of the end of the show. So, you know, there was a dev diary with some patch notes. It's not really anything we haven't discussed fairly extensively on the show previously. So yeah, Imperator stuff, that's all going to be at the end. And we're going to start out today with the first CK3 dev diary of the new year, which, you know, there was a little bit of drama about it.
Just a little bit.
I think it was like kind of a small number of people creating a large amount of drama. You know, they hyped it up as something that I don't think it really ended up being, where they said, oh, it's going to be.
Here's my question.
Ahead, Rose.
Where is this hype? Like,
well, they said that it was going to be the start of new information on like lit fire blazing YOLO swag or something like that.
where though?
Just saying that, hi, there's going to be dev diaries coming back next week. That does kind of signal to people, oh, nice, we start getting new information. And then that little crumb of information sprouts and seeds and grows. And then by the time the dev diary comes out, they're expecting a whole like announcement of what they're working on. And it wasn't that. Well,
there is a pretty big announcement in here. It's not related to the gameplay of the next expansion, which is, I think, what people were expecting. But Henrik Farias, who created Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3, he was like the lead guy on both of those games, is moving up to be a creative director on multiple games. They didn't actually say which ones. And Alexander Rager, who I believe we've had him on the show before, is going to be the new game director for CK3. He also designed the Holy Fury DLC. So, yeah, I think it's in good hands. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's very passionate about Crusader Kings, and looking forward to seeing what he does with it.
And he did Holy Fury, which we all know was like the best DLC for Crusader Kings 2.
I mean, I will
in terms
agree
of
that it was amazing. But
certainly one
the
of the
old
best,
god still exists
I
as
think
a DLC.
I'm not saying like the best for what new feature it added, but the best in sort of all around what it gave us, both with the free patch and the actual DLC.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was fantastic. Yeah, I think there's
it's no way of life.
Yeah, I think there's a discussion to be had about which is the best CK2 DLC, because there were so many good ones.
It's
I don't think
Mongol faces.
Clearly, it's Legacy of Rome. Because you can't be playing without your retinues.
We all know Sunset Invasion was the best, hands down.
Look, I mean, you get off the podcast. Go.
You have to exclude Sunset Invasion, otherwise it's just not fair to everyone else.
I wish I had excluded it from my purchase list.
Wait, don't you just want to yeet it out the window?
Yes. There came a point, it's like, there was a sale on CK2 DLC at some point. So I'm like, there's a bunch that I don't have. It's a lot of faces and stuff. So I just added it all to cart. And I was like, whatever. And then I added them all, and then going through the middle of my France game, and I got invaded by Aztecs. I had no idea that the DLC existed at the time. It was quite the shock.
There needs to be a warning when you start a new game that's like, by the way, you have Sunset Invasion enabled. Are you sure you want to proceed?
Well, they now have the game rules that you can toggle on or off, which they didn't originally.
Right.
Oh,
Nobody expects the Aztec Inquisition.
Yeah. So they're talking about the team, about what the different departments do and stuff. My overall take on this Dev Diary drama was that there's not really any gameplay info. Yes, based on what they've said previously, I was kind of expecting something more substantial than this. But you know what my reaction to this was I was just like, and then I moved on with my life.
It wasn't frothing rage.
Yeah, if you got
unbridled anger, no.
If you got really, really upset because you felt entitled to details about the gameplay of the next DLC for this Dev Diary, it's I understand disappointment, but it's I moved on with my life. I've got other things to worry about.
There was a comment in there where someone said they've spent hundreds of hours playing CK3 and now they're bored and they want new content.
Yeah.
Okay, you got hundreds of hours out of a game that costs you what, 50 quid?
Yeah,
that's kind of not
even. It might have cost you $5 if you got it on Game Pass. So, yeah,
there you go.
I saw some arguments that people who bought the season pass want to know what's actually going to be in it, and we bought it in September or August, and we don't know.
Yeah, those are very legitimate.
Do you think
there are valid comments in there?
Do you think it's going to be bad, though? I don't think it's going to be bad. I think you're going to get your money's worth. But
here's the exact comments, and I love the way it starts. God, very anticlimactic. I'm new to the game, and I'm enjoying it to a point, but it needs flavor and new ideas. It's all a bit samey after a few hundred hours. We're all dealing with the pandemic. Everyone needs to adapt.
Yeah, I give you a big list of 100 better things to be upset about. But I understand the disappointment. Those of you who are just kind of like me, I was expecting, more about the gameplay or whatever, that I totally understand.
I was disappointed for all of a millisecond, and I was like, I'll go play some more Imperator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's Imperator. EU4 is coming soon.
So, we will call Paradox out on stuff on this show if we feel like they genuinely messed up. I just don't think this is worth the amount of
rage
some people have.
I don't have the rage energy for this.
It's
just flat.
Do you think we're just getting old? Is that it? It's just
I'm going to be 30 this year. It's crazy.
Exactly. Think about this. I think all four of us are at least old enough. We remember waiting 2 years before getting information about an expansion pack.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, we are living in a golden age right now of there's some DLC to be excited about almost all the time for our favorite games, and that's
exactly.
There's also a good comment
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well,
trying to find time to play Imperator instead of sinking time into Valheim. Yeah, if you're annoyed about the CK3 Dev Diary, just go play Valheim.
It's good. In my review
went up today,
look up,
IGN, and then all of the anger is just gone.
Yeah. It's really good.
Is it?
Well,
it is.
Some people are also. I haven't played Valheim.
You should.
Would it be good for someone who doesn't like Rust? I don't like that sort of.
I don't like Rust. I love Valheim.
It is definitely. It's like an open world survival crafting game for people who don't like open world survival crafting games.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, so I would definitely give it a try. Yeah.
We have Tiber Wolf pointing out in chat, Ahoy 4 gamer here. I'm dying for sadness with the lack of anything. When was the last Ahoy 4 Dev Diary?
Let me post what this just blew up on Twitter because I was talking about this very thing. But let me grab this tweet. Yeah. Posting it in chat about the slight entitlement of I can even do that.
You're the host now, remember?
I'm hosting the stream. I have unlimited power. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. Yeah, this was my reaction to this whole thing.
I made a joke about the Victoria fans in my Dev Diary video.
Yeah, so yeah. I would love to get some Victoria news this year. I'm not holding my breath for it, but man, I would love to get some Victoria news.
I mean,
this year.
you'd probably you'd try and hold your breath, but eventually you'd drown, and then you'd be needing to be found by something. Clearly,
exactly.
Yes.
CK3. Here we go. Yeah. So there was a little bit of a tease at the end. The team is currently busy working on two things. One is big, and the other is smaller. Smaller of these you'll be hearing more of in the coming weeks. The smaller thing I would imagine might be something along the lines of the ruler designer. Maybe they're adding a better coat of arms designer or something like that. Big thing is probably a DLC. So we probably got a little bit of a wait before we hear anything substantial about the next DLC.
Mongol Faces 2. Here we go.
There was also, as
new
Dev Diary Face is pointing out, there was the Firestarter tease that Scarecrow Crone mentioned, and then Nikau pointed out. Scarecrow is one of the new hired. Yeah. So Scarecrow is a new hire, one of the new developers or content designers. I think content designer.
Okay.
And
for 3
then
weeks.
we have, it's on page 2. And then Nikau, who's the community ambassador, pointed out, oh, but we did tease it. We are still teasing it. But these breadcrumbs can only be found by the ones with the sharpest eyes at the moment. As Scarecrow mentioned, this Dev Diary is a fire starter. Which, from comments on my Dev Diary video and from the forums, people are guessing Greek fire. People are guessing Zoroastrian. Heretics, Inquisition.
It could have something to do with like provinces and raising. Like maybe I feel like currently control and development is sort of an underdeveloped system. Maybe they're going to add something more that models, pillaging and like long-term development and damage to a province. That might be cool.
Great fires that raise your city to the ground purely because someone left the oven on.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've all kind of speculated and given our wish list for CK3 DLC. I think it's probably the most common question I get asked on my Curious Cat by people who don't understand the concept of scrolling down is, what do you think the first CK3 is going to be, or what do you want the first CK3 DLC to be? Maybe I should just make that my new pinned tweet. And
then Nikau has confirmed there will be more Dev Diaries, teasers, and details before the several weeks that they mentioned. And before March 13th, which is the Paradox Insider event. Whatever.
Right.
I feel like that's where they're going to announce whatever it is.
Yes.
Right?
I think they will
announce
a Crusader Kings 3 DLC at that Insider event. That's my prediction. Yeah. So.
No, they're going to come out and announce like Vicky 4.
Just skipping Vicky 3 and it's like how Windows skipped Windows 9 and went right to Windows 10.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
well, did anyone else notice that we seem to have lost 2 Dev Diaries, or am I imagining things?
Lost 2 Dev Diaries?
Like we had Dev Diary number 45 and now we're on number 48.
I don't think so. Let me see. Kings 3 wiki. I know I can find the Dev Diaries this way. Yeah, 47
is Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays. Yeah, 46 was the 1.2.2 patch notes.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
Because if you're on their news page, they don't have 46 and 47 listed.
Oh yeah, I never looked at that.
Not really Dev Diaries.
I just go straight to the forum. Yeah.
Merry Christmas isn't much of a developer diary. It's more of a wishful holiday thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do hope we get some more gameplay details soonish, even if they just want to show us like a little something they're working on for the free patch or something. That'd be cool. So, yeah. That is CK3, and we did get some more substantial information, however, about EU4, which is something that we were speculating about last week. based on the art for Leviathan, which is that they've done a fairly substantial update to Australia. Added some new provinces, so you can actually have a contiguous ring around. Well, not really a ring; it's more of like an upside down or a sideways C shape. So you can actually march.
It's one of them bracelets that don't meet.
Yeah,
You don't need boats. Or is it torque?
yeah, that's
The-
what it is. It's a torque, which it's interesting that they didn't make the like very bottom of the island traversable, because I know there's a highway now that goes to Perth that's like the main east-west thoroughfare. People don't usually go around the top when they're trying to cross Australia.
Yeah, but isn't it like inhospitable desert or something?
It is, but I mean, so is the top end, from what I understand. I think it's pretty much all wilderness outside of.
Yeah, it's all Australia.
See,
Yeah.
the way that you need to think about Australia is, it's basically like a children's coloring book, but the opposite way around. Instead of just coloring in the middle and then kind of avoiding the edges, what Australia does is it filled out the edges, completely ignored the middle.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yes, we got some new states, and they've actually added Aboriginal and colonial names for at least the English. I don't know if they've added them for other countries that can colonize Australia. For some
Hungarian
reason,
already had it. Yeah.
Hungary. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I'm
Why?
not even shitting you. I don't know.
Where did they even get those from?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
I was gonna say they should give them the Egyptian Arabic alternate names, because if the Mamluks survive, I for some reason always see them colonize Australia and Southeast Asia.
Yeah, for sure. What I really love about the way that they've done the borders here is that they've gone with more Aboriginal borders for the provinces, but on the state level, they've gone with more colonial borders. I think that kind of mix is really an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, because it's not like the Aboriginals would have had much of an idea of what a state is. So
Yeah.
That makes sense. There's going to be a high chance of finding gold and gems. You'll also be able to produce coal, of course. Lorris, do you happen to know what kind of coal Australia produces?
I don't actually. I don't know much about Australia.
Oh, get off the podcast.
I know they mine offshore, which is a bit weird. It's very interesting.
They mine coal offshore?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that.
We have
That's what we're going to do in Cumbria. Never mind. Never mind. Rather than getting on a massive detour about coal mining industry in Cumbria. Never mind. Yeah.
we have an interesting tidbit from Tiber Wolf in chat saying that this dev diary is one of the most comprehensive for the region because it was made by the guy who made the Oceania Expanded mod last year, which was part of what got him hired at PDX. But they tossed him to
Interesting.
Hoi 4 now, and this is the last bit of content he's making for EU4.
I
It's also the
do
only-
remember reading that, yeah.
Johan
there's a
just
very-
said tossed. Hi, Johan.
He's been thrown aside, thrown to the curb. Get out of here. Go work on Hearts of Iron. No one wants to hear anymore. There's a really interesting comment from the dev, Mecha66, who is the one who did the Australia part here. He's replying to somebody who said, that's basically Oceania Expanded, but worse. And the reply was, well, as the author of Oceania Expanded, I'm disappointed you feel my second go at Australia doesn't measure up to the first. And I actually love
That's a good
response.
dunk. That's a good
it's
dunk.
prime. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. So we've actually got some Australian Aboriginal tags, which we had speculated about. They have abstracted the culture map, as they pointed out, which is something I was actually curious about, because if you wanted to do this realistically, as they say in the dev diary, pretty much every province in Australia would have its own culture. If you look at a linguistic map of Australia, before or shortly after colonization, it looks like a patchwork of like 1,000 little different colors. And, some of them are related. I'm not actually sure what their methodology was for grouping them here, but
like all culture is quite abstracted in CK.
yeah, that's true.
sorry,
But
in EU.
Australia, even more than usual, is very, linguistically, ethno-linguistically fragmented before colonization.
The entire region of the world is. It's like, is it?
Oh yeah. Papua
is it
New
Borneo
Guinea,
that has like the highest concentration of diversity of languages?
It's
in the world
Papua
or
New
something?
Guinea. Yeah,
That's
Papua
the one,
New
yes.
Guinea has like thousands of distinct languages, I think, or at least hundreds. Yeah. So
Looking at linguistic maps of this region, not just Australia, but like the rest of like Indonesia and stuff, it's insane.
yeah. I don't know. Did they mention, are these migratory? I don't remember them mentioning migration at all in the dev diary. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one of the devs in chat will be able to clarify that. I don't know if they're getting the native mechanics where they can have like a zone of control, or if they'll be able to migrate. I believe some of them were migratory. I don't know if all Australian Aboriginal tribes were, but yeah, they don't actually mention the word migration anywhere in the diary, so I'm unsure on that. But they're also getting a new Dreamtime religion, also something that has been speculated about. It sounds like it's kind of a combination of African fetishism and North American totemism, because they have the cults, but they can also add stories, it sounds very similar to the new fetishism or totemism mechanics.
See, that sounded like Coptic to me a little bit.
Yeah.
You're adding
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be really interested to see the like events around that. Just happy to be able to play, Aboriginal Australians finally. I wish they had done something like this for the Polynesians instead of just making them animist, but yeah, should be cool.
I'd like to know if there is a United Australia tag for Aboriginals only.
They
That would
said
be something I'd like to see.
Yeah, they said there won't be because there wasn't really a concept of a unified Australian identity before colonization. But I could see that being something that arises if, an independent Australian tribe has contact with the colonizers and decides they want to do some state building. I mean, it's similar to
It could
North
be
America,
done
I guess.
instead of like putting it in a decision like most nations have their formables in. It could be in a mission tree, and like the prerequisite would be to be in a defensive war against, a colonial power. Unite against the colonizers.
Yeah,
something to think about.
it's almost like there should be an institution for like the nation state and like you unlock formable tags once you develop it, because that is something that kind of spread from the civilized core, quote unquote civilized core, to the rest of the world during this time period. More so the Victoria time period, really, but yeah. They get their own unit models, which is pretty awesome. I love getting new unit models because I love just having more visual diversity on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty happy with this. It's going to be way more fun to play on that side of the map now, between the Polynesia update, the Australia update, and all the new Southeast Asia stuff. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting, diverse, and interesting regions to play in all of EU4, which, I would not have suspected a year ago that I'd be saying that.
I would say before we move away from EU4 as well, I think it does bear mentioning that EU4 did have an update yesterday, maybe the day before, which has really not gone down very well at all with the multiplayer communities, because it's kind of broken all multiplayer. I don't know all of the specifics of it, but I believe they've moved to using servers from a third party instead of Steam. I think Nakama is a word that I've heard spread around a lot.
We
That's
heard it
what
was
CK3
rolled back
uses,
today.
yeah.
It was
Guys,
rolled back today.
It was
Yep, we have
rolled
Flying
back. Yeah.
Muttley. Johan
I didn't
said
even-
yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't even know there was an update. Like, by the time I heard about all of this, they had already rolled it back. So
I didn't see the rollback. Fair enough
yeah.
then.
Yeah. So
Hopefully they can roll the Imperator multiplayer servers back to a point where they're not using that either, because it's also really bad there.
it seems to work most of the time in CK3. I've had some issues.
Not for large multiplayers.
Well, not for large groups. As
you
Creator
can't get more than
Coliseum
like 12
demonstrated.
people to play a game, and
But in
it's
my-
just
Really?
not good.
I was planning on hosting like a big multiplayer Imperator game this weekend. Is it?
Yeah,
If you've got more than 12 people, I would recommend against it.
It
And
also,
it is why CK3 had problems as well with multiplayer, because of the Nakama heroic labs, I think is another word I've heard thrown about a lot. There's something to do with that.
I've also seen it have weird issues if you're connecting from multiple countries. Like my group that I play that is all US people, we've never had an issue with it.
Yeah.
But then I have another group where there's a couple people from Europe in it, and they actually had to download a VPN to trick Nakama into thinking they were from the US, or it wouldn't, like, they would keep getting disconnected from the game for some reason. So I'm not
Is
sure
that how you
what-
fix it? I've always wondered that, because I noticed exactly the same problem actually. So if you get a VPN, you can
Yeah,
fix
if you
that problem.
if you use a VPN and you tell it that you're all from the same country, it generally works fine.
Right.
That's
Okay.
rather
But, yeah.
weird.
It
Yeah,
is odd.
jumping
I'm
through
not
those
sure
kind of
why.
hoops is a bit much.
Yeah,
I just worry that it's kind of killing the multiplayer community. Like,
Well,
CK3
I-
has never had a multiplayer community because of this.
And
this is like playing old PC gaming multiplayer. I don't know if you ever like it. I don't know, you always like faffing around with Hamachi or Tell you
yeah,
what,
exactly. Like having
Zero
a
tier recently.
tunnel
Zero
directly
tier's
into
really
someone's IP address and shit.
good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me what
But
your
this is-
port is. Open this port.
Yeah,
So weirdly, having like a lot of these problems come back again is quite nostalgic for me, because
it
I
is.
remember like
Yeah.
playing multiplayer on a PC
Oh.
is basically 90% trying to get the damn game to work, and then 10% playing the game.
Yeah.
Obviously,
You're
without
right.
any insider knowledge, I can't say for sure why it is the way it is. I just know that it's not working, and I really want it to be fixed because I like playing big multiplayer games, and
Yes.
I can't right now. So
it would be nice to have that CK3 Creator Coliseum game actually happen.
yes,
Yeah. For sure. I don't have a transition here. Let's talk about Stellaris. So this
I mean, we've had some good multiplayer games in Stellaris.
yeah, good enough. Let's go.
All right. So today's is the flip side of the coin from last week, which was about becoming the crisis. This week, we got introduced to the concept of the custodian, which is something you can become by being voted emergency powers. Hint, hint.
So this
by
is
the
how
Galactic
democracy
Senate.
dies, is it?
Yeah.
It definitely can be. I mean, you could be Cincinnatus and be like, okay, the Prothoran are gone. I relinquish my authority. Or you could do it the fun way and be like, no, I'm the emperor now, motherfuckers. Yeah, so the custodian gets some special powers. They get a special custodial fleet. There's a bunch of extra resolutions tied to the custodianship. I think by default it's a rotating title, but you can obviously do away with that.
No, naturally.
To ensure the security and continued stability.
Exactly. Yeah, they get some special. I think they can call. They can call emergency measures anytime they want, or something like that. As well as prematurely ending a session of the Galactic Senate. So yeah, lots of powers to abuse, but
Most importantly, get the big galactic fleet. And I was looking at the models for that too. Those are new models. If I don't recognize them.
Did they show
is that
ship?
just me?
Oh yeah,
Those
they did show
are new
ship
models.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so.
Honestly, that Corvette kind of reminds me of Star Wars as well. I'm not gonna lie, that one specifically does.
I mean, I would
that's
be,
the
I would
point,
be,
right?
yeah, I would be surprised if these ships were not inspired by the Galactic Empire. I mean,
the event pictures certainly are, aren't they? I mean, like,
Yeah.
the uniforms are definitely like Imperial uniforms.
Right. Yeah.
they have
that's
emergency
definitely,
measures on a shorter cooldown than the council. Alfred is saying.
That's what it is. Yeah.
They say they weren't abusing it in our Dev MP earlier this week. Do we believe that?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
we get a second
billing,
opinion.
they're billing this as like the anti-crisis, but I think this is actually the real crisis. crisis.
Yes.
I like it.
The custodian is actually probably more evil than what they are fighting against. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
press
good.
X
It's
to
a
doubt,
really nice
please,
little.
chat.
Yeah.
So, like, it's sort of like a tyranny growing out the back of a crisis, which
Of
tyranny
course.
always does. Good little dynamic. Love it.
And they even say at
Big
the
fan of
end,
it.
this very much captures what we're trying to do with Nemesis. After one crisis has been defeated, maybe the next one is just around the corner, and this time it's a diplomatic one. So
I would love to see some kind of civil war mechanic spawn out of this, because begun the Clone Wars have.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Honestly, this entire DLC is like prime real estate for prequel memers to just ride right in and go.
Well, and I would
I love
love
it.
it if you could actually do what Palpatine did, like you're funding like the Marauders, like the Marauder Empire, like you give them a bunch of like money and weapons and stuff so that they become a bigger threat, and then you use that to vote yourself emergency powers. Like I don't only want the emergency powers part, I also want the part where I am building up a fake threat to the galaxy so that everybody will want me to protect them.
Yeah, I mean, and then as well, it's not even just like it's just having that kind of thing, being able to fund both sides, play both sides, make both sides think that you're on their side, and then just making all of it your own is I want that. I want to be Palpatine. God damn it.
So what I
We all
think
wanna be
my
Palpatine.
first campaign with this is going to be is I'm going to use my idea for a vampire empire, which is basically just it's necroids where the prime species are vampires and then the underling species are regular humans. And I'm just going to make them ultra sneaky diplomat spies and take over the galaxy diplomatically with vampiric scheming. It's probably going to be my first run with this DLC. So
I can't decide whether I will be the Crisis or I will be the Crisis.
Yeah, whether I try out the menace,
Crisis in disguise.
yeah, whether I try out the whole menace thing first will depend heavily on if it's just the Shroud or if they have different talent trees based on what kind of crisis you want to be. They can also freeze proposals, which is going to be super useful. Like, I hate it when someone's just trying to force something through and I'm like, we have other things to worry about right now. Can we not talk about space whales for a little bit? Like, the galaxy's being invaded. Yeah.
In this screenshot, it's like, oh yeah, the Guardian Angels Act seems like a really useful thing, but it messes with my plans of playing both sides. So let's talk about whales instead.
Yeah, all that. It's like a filibuster, which you could kind of already do. I love filibustering the Galactic Senate with just random meaningless BS. Just I feel like I'm getting more excited about this DLC every diary that comes out.
Same.
Yeah.
And I started off just not being that fussed about it, but now I'm actually quite very excited about it.
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Like, as soon as they teased espionage, I'm like, yep, this is what I wanted.
Well, it's like I was like whatever. I mean, it's just spies or whatever. But now it's like, you can do Crisis, you can be Palpatine, you can reorganize things into the First Galactic Empire. I'm in love with it. I really like it now.
Oh yeah. We also speculated last week that there might be like a heroic ship set or a a custodial ship set, which this is what it looks like this is. Now I really want to see what the models are for the menacing ships, because I'm assuming those are going to get new models as well. And based on how and based on how cool the Necroid ships turned out, how cool I think they personally were, I'd love to see what their evil.
How do you make
Crisis
them more
ships
menacing than the Necroid ships?
Yeah, that'll be tough. I mean, there's
more
different
spikes,
different stylistic. Yeah, maybe it'll look like Cenobite, or like the Reaver ships in
from Firefly. Yeah,
Firefly. Although that's kind of what pirates already look like in Stellaris. It's just everything's bolted together from.
Honestly, the pirates in Stellaris kind of remind me of orcs. It's like, oh, we took this asteroid, we strapped it to a big rocket, and then this is now our ship. That's kind of what they are. Oh, also, we painted the outside of it with rude words.
I hope I wish you could play as with those models. I know you can mod it in, but should be a bit. Those models are available.
I want to play as a pirate empire. I just did a run in EU4 as the So clan who started out in Tsushima, where they have a decision at the beginning of the game where they can become a pirate republic. Because historically they were basically run by pirates shortly before the EU4 time period. So it's one of those events where it's like, yeah, this is outside the scope of EU4, but we're going to be like, yeah, well, let's go back to that. Let's rewind the clock a little bit if you take this decision.
It's cool, so it's going in.
Yeah, East Asian Pirate Republic, that's a really fun run. I love to play as some sort of like a pirate.
Also, piracy against the Ming is so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
especially if they're like
them.
Completely beset by a diplomatic crisis, which they usually are, and they don't really have the ability to respond to you. You can just be like, yep, it's going to raid all up and down the coast here, and now I'm rich.
Yeah. Double benefit.
Well, our main topic
I get rich and you get poor.
Exactly. That's how it works. Well, our main topic this week is going to be the Imperator 2.0 Marius update, and we're actually going to have Arheo on next week to talk about it. So if you have any questions for him, be thinking about that. This week, it's going to be more of just our general impression so far. Lambert and I have played a ton of it. Rose and Lorris, I don't think you've had as much time to check it out
sadly.
yet.
I've had no time.
I plan to this weekend.
And actually, I think I can pull up the game here so we can actually directly look at anything we want to talk about. So Lambert, you released like a 25-minute review, which was very comprehensive. I would definitely recommend everybody check that out if you want to have an answer to the question, like, is Imperator fixed? Which I think is kind of what most people are talking about right now. Or asking about. I mean, without like retreading everything you said, like, Lambert, what have your general impressions been as our main Imperator person?
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's pretty good. It's I find myself to be quite susceptible to the paradox, where you're so excited about the things that are coming up that you don't play the previous patch. So because this has been so long in the works and we've been teased for so long about it, I haven't played 1.5 nearly much at all. So when I came in to start playing 2.0, it was like jumping into the game for the first time, because I'd been so long away, and all of the new features is... it was a lot. There was certain things that were just very overwhelming at first, especially the tech system. Being able to see every single tech available all at once is it can be a bit overwhelming. But at the same time, it's also a kind of freedom that you don't really get in any other kind of tech system. Which I do think is really quite nice. And, discovering new things in the tech system, new innovations that you might want to take. You say, oh, next campaign, I'm going to take this one because that sounds really cool. It's, really cool. There's especially one in the religious area called Militant Epicureanism, where instead of using your standard omens where you click a button and you get some bonuses for a while, that gets completely trashed, like negative 90% omen power. But instead you gain stability when you sack temples.
That's fantastic.
Completely changes the way you play the game.
I have not... That's the other crazy thing, is I've played 2 campaigns all the way to the end date. I have not even touched religious advances yet. Like there's just been so much to try out in martial, civic, and oratory that like I haven't even like been to this tab at all. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the religious tree has. I'll try that out next game.
I was talking a lot with Arheo while I was playing my first campaign. For starters, he threw some mad shade at me for saying that I was slower than the AI when I was playing as Rome. But I was talking about especially the tech system. And I said that I'd taken like 14 techs in Mill, like 12 techs in Civic, and then I didn't take any in Oratory and Religious. And he's like, okay, well, go and have a look for this tech, this tech, this tech. And I looked at him and was like, oh, that's something I'm definitely now going to be working towards. It's like, because there's so many, and it's really not feasible to think, okay, somebody is going to, before they start the game, read every single one. That's not going to happen. I don't think they expect it to happen. But the more you play, the more you learn about it, the more things you discover, and I think it adds to replayability, which is quite nice.
What were you saying, Rose?
Oh, just there's 2 images in our Discord chat that I think you might benefit from sharing.
Yeah.
Lorris and I.
Enigmatic Rose last played Imperator April 1st, 2020. Father Lorris last played January 19th, 2020. Yeah. So you two haven't even seen like some of the other really good updates yet.
Well, and it's not even installed on Lorris's computer at the moment.
Well, and then in contrast, let me see if I can find my tweet from earlier really quick. Which is basically my short answer to people who have been asking about my thoughts on Imperator 2.0. I'll pull it up on the screen. Yeah, some people have asked what I thought of 2.0 for Imperator. I'll have more detailed thoughts on the podcast, but 197 hours on record, 87.9 in the past 2 weeks. I'm sure some of that was just me leaving it running in the background. I don't think I actually like doubled my time in Imperator since this patch, but I think I've played like a plurality of my Imperator hours are from this patch. If you consider each patch as a separate era of the game, I've already played more of this patch than I have any of the previous patches, except maybe the press build that we originally got, which isn't shown here. It was like a separate Steam entry, so sometimes that doesn't lump together.
That wouldn't quite be possible for me, because I think when I got access, I already had about 1,600 hours in the game.
Yeah.
But I have played about 80 since, according to Steam. And while I have left the game on overnight to do multiple time lapse to see how the AI fights on their own, I would say that actual gameplay probably pushing 40 hours. And I don't think it was time ill spent. I think it was, I had fun, and I'm really enjoying playing Imperator again. And that's really cool.
Johan is actually in the chat is saying Imperator 2.0 is the best release from PDS ever, in my humble opinion. So, that's.
And Johan should know, because I think he's worked on almost every PDS game, or at least
I think it is
hung out with the people.
Every PDS
I think it'd be everyone now.
Even if he hasn't worked on it, he's hung out with the people that worked on it.
But yeah, talking about like time lapses and the AI, that's another huge thing that I really love about this update. Let me actually see if I can load. This is going to be my Biturigia, my game where I tried to form Gaul, but I couldn't because Rome had the last two
finally
provinces.
Get the ability to do time lapses of our played games?
Not without an Agamade mod.
Yeah, so this is what I was seeing consistently. Is that
Rome is beast.
Rome and Carthage
Rome is good, is it?
Rome and Carthage get super huge, and they actually conquer areas that they were interested in conquering historically. What I have not seen yet is I have not seen any big Punic War action. Like Rome will eat like a bite of them, but I haven't seen like Rome take over all of Carthage or Carthage take over all of Rome yet. That is still something I would really like to see. Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think Arheo also, one of his teasers of his, left on overnight games, also had that. I'll see if I can pull it up.
Yeah. I was really mad because like the Form Gaul decision, the last provinces I needed
was in Rome.
Are these two owned by Rome, and I did launch a big war to try to take them out, but they had, even at the size I am here, even as you can see how big my realm is, they had 5 times as many troops as I did, and I just didn't have enough money to hire enough mercenaries to beat them. But in this same campaign, we won the Gaulish War. When Rome attacked us, we won. I'm allied with a lot of people. So we actually won the Gaulish War, and we won the Gallo-Carthaginian War. Carthage also is stronger than we are, and we not only beat them, we kicked their asses all the way back across the Pyrenees. They owned all of this, and we took it from them in an offensive war that they started. It was a proper shit kicking.
Nice. Carthage
never messed with us again, even though 5,000 pops. They have about 9,000. Rome has 15,000. So yeah. We secured the independence of the Gauls pretty decisively, which I was quite happy about. And then we lost thousands and thousands and thousands of manpower trying to conquer the Belgians. So maybe all that stuff in the commentary about them being the bravest of the Gauls had some merit, because they were a big pain in the ass.
So did you stay as a republic? Oh, sorry. Did you say as a tribe, or did you become a republic or a monarchy?
I became a super top-down aristocratic monarchy. Just because the Bituriges actually means kings of the world in Gaulish, and Ambicatus, who is probably, other than Vercingetorix, probably the most famous Gaulish king of all time. He's quite a bit before the Imperator time period, but he was a king of the Bituriges. So yeah, I wanted to go with that whole high king, sovereign, and servant.
Brennus goal? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Brennus is, yeah. I mean, Brennus, he sacked Rome, which was cool. I think he was in one of the Insubres, actually.
Okay. He also went into Greece. There's an achievement if you, as Brennus, sack, or as a Gaul, sack all of the holy sites in Greece.
Nice.
The achievement's called Brennus's Revenge.
By the way, Rome, 84% civilization value. Exolodonum, 97 civilization value.
Oh, nice.
Actually, almost all of my core cities have a higher civilization value than Rome. I focused very, very heavily on this area right here and didn't really do anything else with the rest of it, which led to me having an insane legion cap just from 67 possible units just from one core area, because I never actually got around to passing the law that lets you raise legions from other areas. So yeah, I just tried to concentrate all of my population here to get my legions as big as they could possibly be.
We have Dev Diary McDiaryface in chat saying that they haven't played since Imperator released. Would they be able to load up 2.0 and just play?
I think there's a little bit of a learning curve.
There is. I restarted this game 3 times to give you an idea of the learning curve. Yeah.
If you want a very easy country to play as, honestly, Rome this is the most powerful they've been in any patch so far. They are
by
very,
far.
very powerful.
Yeah. Which it just makes the late game so much more interesting if you're not playing as Rome, because you actually have Rome as a strong rival, which was one of my biggest issues with Imperator before this patch, is that if you weren't playing as Rome, it just felt like Rome rarely ever amounted to anything. And it's no, there's 2 stories I want to tell in a game about this specific era. Either I want to play as Rome and tell the story of Rome, or I want to play as somebody who got conquered by Rome and resist Rome. And if Rome doesn't get strong when the AI is controlling them, I don't get that second.
Yeah,
story.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
They're even more powerful than they were at launch. This is the most powerful they've been. And I don't think that's a bad thing, even if you want to play as them, because there is still challenge to be had playing as Rome, because the other AI are also better at choosing their conquests. The struggle over control of Anatolia between all the Diadochi is really interesting as somebody looking at it from the outside. In my Rome campaign, I saw Firstly, Antigonus fall and the standard split of Anatolia where Thrace gets a bunch. You see Seleucus get a bunch. You see Egypt get a bunch. But then they all squabbled over it. And initially, Thrace controlled all of Anatolia because they won the Diadochi conflict at the start. Then Seleucus came in and started beating on them. And then Egypt came in and started beating on them because the Mauryaans came in from the other side. And it was basically a big battleground for Greeks to fight in. And I'm there in Rome developing, taking on the Carthaginians, going into Illyria. And I'm looking over at Anatolia like, that looks like a lot of fun. That's where my next campaign is going to be because that's a shit ton of actions happening there.
Yeah, as you can see here, the Seleucids were eventually taken over by a Median Chaldic dynasty, which was kind of interesting. And their name actually changes to the Persian Empire if the Seleucids are no longer in control, which is cool. The one thing I was kind of disappointed in the Roman AI about. If you notice, maybe this is just because they underestimated me. They fortified the entire east. They didn't have any forts in Transalpine Gaul, and only one in northern Italy, which is part of why I was able to win the Gallic War, because I just streamed through the Alps and occupied a bunch of shit. Which if you occupy the province capital in an unfortified province now, you just basically get the whole thing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I was worried about was that there's a new invention quite late on in the Civic tree, I think it is, where you can get access to a CB that lets you basically, as soon as you siege something, it's yours.
Oh, really?
It's what the Diadochi get right at the start of the game, and it must not be Civic. It might be Oratory.
Oratory is most of the aggressive expansion type stuff. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that
Imperial
one at the bottom.
Challenge. Yeah.
It's what happens with civil wars as well, basically. As soon as you see something, it's yours. And I was worried that, okay, in my campaigns, I am very rarely going up against other great powers, because it can only be used against, is it either major or great powers?
I think they have to be
up against
major power. Yeah. Uh-huh. So
yeah, major power. So 100 territories or more. It was very rare to see that by the time you would be able to get access to that. Not anymore. I mean, look at the game you got there. Carthage is a major power. Rome's a major power. You got the Persians a major power. Egypt's a major power.
Yeah.
The Bosphorus a major power. There's a lot to go for.
Bosphorus actually local. They just look big. But yes, we do have at least 5, which is kind of cool. 6, including me.
There's another thing we should talk about as well is the change to how the armies work, because it's no longer a very faithful recreation of the EU4 system of armies. You now have a bit of CK3 in there as well with levies. And honestly, just from a personal standpoint, the way that Imperator does levies is far superior to the way that CK3 does levies. Just saying.
I would probably agree with you there for the most part. I still don't like that they're locked to subdivisions of 500. I do like that CK3 has so much more flexibility in the size of a levy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, CK3, their levy system is probably what I would say is still maybe the weakest part of CK3 right now. And I do like this levy system a lot. I like that you don't have perfect control over what kind of troops you're raising.
They're raised where they come from.
Right. And it has to do with the dominant cultures in the area, which is really cool. I wish I didn't have so many chariots. I wish I could just tell my people to stop building chariots, because when you're fighting the Romans in the Alps, what are you going to do with a chariot? I guess carry supplies. It's really what they're there for. But yeah, I saw with the Legion system. By the way, these guys should be called the Chosen. I know if anyone else is as big of a Gaulish history nerd as I am, all 4 of you. The Oathsworn would have made more sense for our Arverni. For the Bituriges, I should have called these guys the Chosen. But Oathsworn's still cool.
It is. I mean, you can always raise a second Legion if you like.
If I ever got to, I was how far away was I? I was like 20 provinces away from being a great power, which allows you to raise more legions, because that law requires you to be a great power before you can. Royal Guard lets you raise them from your one legion from your capital. Royal Army lets you raise legions for as many provinces as you have. But yeah, I consistently had issues where whoever was the leader of the Oathsworn would generally become ambitious and would try to start a civil war, and I would just have to throw money at them to be like, please stay loyal, please stay loyal, please stay loyal. I'll make you my heir, I'll adopt you, please stay loyal. So yeah, that becomes, especially when your legions get this big, it's like, I think you outnumber all of our levies maybe at this point. So that can be a problem. You can, I don't know if reward veterans was in the game previously.
It was, yes.
Okay, yeah. So you can reward veterans, which you spend money and it makes the legion less loyal to them, which is cool. But
So I noticed there that you have an honor that's maybe not quite so honorable.
Yeah, which didn't make a lot of sense because tactically it made this was when we were fighting Carthage, and like it was actually strategically brilliant to retreat when we did, but then we get a -15 morale penalty for having retreated from a major battle. I wasn't super happy about that. It's like, come on, you haven't heard of hit and run tactics? We're dragging them through our freaking what is it? I don't remember where I got it from. It's probably a technology, but all of my lands have like +2 hostile attrition, which is another way we won the Gaulish War, by just dragging them through all this low development land and then fortifying the crap out of Gergovia. I think I have like 133% fort defense here. I
have a different dishonor on one of my legions.
Basically where every Roman invasion stopped was Gergovia. Yeah. What was the one you got?
So the story behind it. I am the Roman Empire, or I think probably the kingdom at this point, maybe even still the Republic. But I'm trying to sort out my religious situation. I want to make sure that all of my major cities have some, all of the gods that I revere. I have a holy site dedicated to them. I build a wonder to their glory. And then I noticed that the Rhaetians in the Alps to my north had built a holy site to, I believe it was Mercury. I'm thinking Mercury wouldn't hang out in the mountains. He'd hang out in Naples because I said so. So I sent my legions up there to, encourage the Rhaetians to see sense. And well, then my
in the
my
only
legion
way possible, at the tip of a sword, right?
Precisely, the gladius, indeed, yeah. And well, then my legion got the trait Empire, which is -10% morale for desecrating a holy site of your own faith.
Yeah, I can kind of see that one.
Yeah, so that's a fun modifier. It does kind of balance that legion, because I do find that legions very, very powerful.
They are extremely powerful. Yeah.
I think staying as a tribe who can't take legions at all is going to be such a challenge now. Because as soon as you come up against nations that, feature a heavy amount of legions, like, maybe like Rome, you're going to struggle. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I kind of like it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, man. These guys could clean up. I mean, partly because I filled out like almost this entire side of the Marshall tree before I did anything else. So I was just like fighting 2-1, 3-1 odds. I don't care. We're still gonna win as long as we have a good commander. This was a really fun game. Really liking this update. The question, is Imperator fixed? I think a lot of people who didn't previously enjoy it will enjoy it now. I don't think everybody will. There's still I mean, Lambert, you brought up some issues you still have. Why don't you start with those?
Sure. I guess I mentioned the wonder system when I was talking about my legion there. On the map, you have the 7 wonders of the world. And oh god, there's one.
I didn't build this. One of the people I conquered was building a pyramid, and I couldn't get rid of it. I don't like having a pyramid in the middle of Gaul.
Yeah, so there's the 7 wonders of the world, and there's other wonders as well, like the Temple of Jupiter in Rome. You have things like Siragatia in Ceylon. That is a wonder as well. You've got plenty of wonders, and they all give you a certain bonus. It's a pretty minor bonus. Like, for example, the Pyramids of Giza give you some subject relation traditions for, very minor subject relations, because who cares about that? My issue with it is if you have the money, you can, if you so desire, build some pyramids of your own, make them out of solid gold, and put them on the Isle of Man, and have that pyramid be giving you a better bonus than the Pyramids of Giza give.
It's the Isle of Man. They need everything they can get.
I pulled up that exact same analogy, using Isle of Man and a golden pyramid. I did have a comment that I was left kind of speechless about. Like, if you were able to build a giant golden pyramid on the Isle of Man, then you kind of deserve to have the prestige of it.
Yeah,
I get that. But no, I really don't like the idea of that.
I mean, so you do have to be importing a certain amount of the relevant trade good. Here we go. Here's the Hanging Gardens.
I'm sorry. This is off topic, but we haven't really been on a tangent yet this episode, and we need one.
Oh man!
But Dev Diary, make Dev Diary face is asking in chat. The question is, what does Lambert hate more, Assassin's Creed or WASD scrolling?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question.
WSD scrolling, because it impacts my game, whereas I can just ignore the crap out of Assassin's Creed and never play it.
Look at me,
but having WSD in the game that I like it negatively impacts my game.
Look how convenient this is. I can move the mouse independently of the camera.
Yes, Johan agrees with me. WASD scroll sucks. This means that you people on the podcast with me suck.
Is newer more prestigious? So Johan says a gold pyramid is newer and should be more prestigious, right?
Well, the thing is,
here we go.
The Pyramids of Giza don't start as old, right? Pyramids of Giza at the start of the game is like 1,000 years old already, and yet it starts at like tier 1 prestige because it's made out of stone. I think the biggest problem in it is just 2 seconds. The biggest problem is when you build a wonder anywhere else in the world, you can choose 3 bonuses. All of the existing wonders of the world only have 1. And it's kind of broken, and I think that needs to be changed.
Yeah,
so I just like the aesthetic idea of it.
Oh, the aesthetics are cool.
You have to be importing gold to build a gold or precious metals to be able to build in gold. But the amount of gold that is even possible to access in this entire map, I don't know. I don't know that you could have actually built a solid gold pyramid. I don't know if there was a state in history that was rich enough to build a solid gold pyramid in the ancient era.
Well, the 7 gold
would have been solid
provinces
gold or just a gold cap? Because even the pyramids of Giza, they were limestone with gold tips.
Right.
Yeah. All you need is to have the trade good and the 7 sources of precious metals in the British Isles.
Also, your Isle of Man problem, the way I would like to see that handled maybe is you have to have a certain number of slaves in the province to build something that big. That would be an interesting way to do it. You need to have 100 slaves in locally accessible to build a wonder of that scale. Because
I would like it to be cultural specific, because I really
do
like
too.
That would be cool too.
No, doesn't Wales need a giant gold pyramid? Then you can use it to get upstairs.
Tacky as fuck. Actually, that's perfect for Wales.
Oh.
Yeah, Newport really needs one, actually.
I think the Brigantes might have actually built a wonder somewhere. Oh, yeah, what bonus does Stonehenge give in this? Oh, it's just Omen
I
power.
also think there is a way that you can maybe mitigate the amount that are possible, especially in multiplayer. I feel like there's going to be people in multiplayer that like, oh, I have the money, I'm going to build another wonder so I can get another massive bonus. Because some of the bonuses you can get are really strong. I think that to build a wonder, it should only be possible to do on a holy site that you revere. So one of your pantheon. And I think that should be the only way that you should be able to be building a wonder. If they did that, if they made the aesthetics culture specific, and if they made the existing wonders of the world have more powerful bonuses that you cannot reach with your own wonders, that would solve it for me. Because I don't think any pyramid you build should be bigger or more prestigious or give you better bonuses than owning the pyramids of Giza. I just don't. I can't see that being... No, I just don't. I can't. No.
Johan said Stonehenge
as for the amount of solid gold.
Oh, well, I mean, we could talk about Stonehenge as well.
I mean, everybody is basically a pagan at this point.
Who's not a pagan?
Yeah, all of these people would be considered pagans for the most part.
We also have a Flying Muttley in chat did the math, and apparently the total amount of gold ever mined would only make a cube of about 21 meters per side.
Well, we're not talking about a solid gold pyramid, although I'm pretty sure that those are the words I used.
Those are the words you used.
Gold gilded pyramid, then. I don't know. Look, it'd be a really small pyramid, okay?
Pyramid that's like 30 meters tall.
But yeah.
Oh, by the way, Rome became a dictatorship.
Obviously.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we should talk about that, actually. The way that you can become a dictatorship has also changed. Previously, it was a pain in the ass. It was really difficult. Whereas, you know, my argument has always been, if you're playing a republic, then dictatorship should be something that you don't want to have, and it should be a constant struggle to avoid falling into one. We haven't got that, but now we do have a very dangerous invention that you can take in the oratory tree, which will plunge your country into a civil war. And when you come out the end of it, you are a monarchy if you win. If you lose it, then you lose and you don't play the game anymore. But yeah, if you want to fast track your way to a dictatorship, you're going to have to fight a civil war, which makes complete sense to me. Because, you know, not everyone in your country is going to be happy with the king. And there may be a civil war over it. You know, maybe between some guy called Caesar and another guy called Pompey, perhaps. Just out of pulling names out of a hat there, maybe.
You can't just make up people like that.
Well,
These people never existed.
Another thing you pointed out in your review about civil wars that I would like to also see changed is that because when you're in a civil war, when you capture a territory, it immediately becomes yours. It'll also just move the hostile province capital like one province over. So you still have to carpet siege in civil wars, which is kind of annoying.
It is something I brought up to Arheo. I think what I would like to see, for starters, I am not a coder in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how possible this is. But what I would like to see as a player is, once you siege an entire province, the province will flip to you. So, you know, sieging the provincial capital will occupy it, then it will occupy everything else if it's not fortified, and then the entire thing will flip to you. That would be the fix that I'd like to see. I have no idea how possible that is, code-wise, but that would be my ideal situation.
That would be cool. I would like that. Yeah.
We have Johan saying, no, no, no. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just saying what I want to see.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still intent on wearing down Meneth about redoing how levies work in CK3, even though he says he's not interested in redoing that system. But the other thing I noticed though, the game still the campaign still feels too short. I still want my Imperial era. At least give me to the end of Trajan. At least give me to the end of Trajan. At least, I don't know, like 100 more years.
I released a video
Baby
today.
Jesus.
I released a video today with an interview that I did with RAO, where, well, first off, I was giving him questions that I had gotten from my community. I knew the answer to the first part of this question. I asked him, would we ever get any new start dates? The answer was an immediate and flat, no other words, no.
No.
I expected that.
Yeah. Because, like,
No.
I mean, it adds a load of work. You have to, if you come up with new like expansions, you have to like program and start. It's a big mistake that like Paradox Games made, because it just makes huge amounts of work in the future, right?
Well, the follow-on question to that was, will we see an extension? Which was, the answer to that was, that is much more feasible.
Yeah. I would love to see an extension.
Because
my favorite periods in this like ancient period is early Christianity and the dictatorships.
Yeah, it gets mystery cults. Yeah. Augustus trying to like PR his way into like getting more powers for himself.
Yeah.
Now that we've fairly regularly going to be able to see the Romans become an empire, and you can see the shift from the Republic to the Empire. I think if Imperator was going to push it further into the future again, what it needs to start modeling with the update that comes alongside is the fall of Empire and the struggles of keeping an empire together.
I mean,
if it can nail that,
I would almost say
give me the Huns. I want the Huns.
See, I think that should be its own game. I don't think they should extend Imperator all the way up to like Constantine. I would rather see that be its own game. What I really want for Imperator is like let me play up through the Pax Romana at least. Like the 5 good emperors, that's probably where I would tend to cut it off. If they wanted to go all the way up to the crisis of the 3rd century, I certainly wouldn't complain. That might be too long, I don't know, but I'd like at least about another 100 years. I ended up in the situation where like the game is going to end pretty soon. I need 2 more provinces to form Gaul. I only really had time to launch 1 more war against Rome. I didn't really have time to prepare for it. I was just like, all right, if I want to click this button, we gotta go now.
Yeah,
and
you've got 6 months left.
I felt like I was just kind of establishing myself as a major power, and then I ran out of time. I would have loved to have maybe eventually conquered Britain, maybe pushed my border to the Rhine over here a little bit more. It did, honestly, this isn't just coming from the fact that I want Pax Romana DLC. It legitimately did feel too short. I wanted more time, and you can play past the end date, but yeah, it's not like there's no new content or anything. Yeah.
I will point out though that I've seen people asking for end date extension specifically for the reason that they don't think it's possible for Rome to conquer historic borders by the end date. Mm-hmm. I will point out to those specific people, get good, because I did it. It's not not impossible. Yeah, it's not impossible. I have a friend as well that got the dates of all the various conquests of the Roman Republic from the start of the game to the end, and followed it every single conquest along the way. Yeah. With only one hiccup where Rome just went Carthage nom. Other than that, he was able to accurately go every single step. It's totally doable.
Yeah, you can't rest on your laurels. Like, you need to be at war most of the time to do that. But yes, it is definitely possible. Yeah. So
it won't take too long, and then I get to kill Jesus, and that's all I want in the video game.
I really don't want to see
nail that motherfucker up. I want to do it. Come on.
I mean, here's the thing: mystery cults would be cool. Having an event chain around Jesus might be interesting.
Yeah,
but, Christianity was not politically important in this time period, so I don't think it'll ever be more than anything like a small provincial minority that you have to figure out what to do with.
Yeah.
Sacrifice them all.
How many you want to feed to the lions?
Fix history.
The method of execution. there's so much you could do here.
You just want a really in-depth DLC where you, instead of building a wonder, you just decide all of the tortures that you want to put
the cross. The cross is the wonder.
It's a giant 60-foot tall cross.
Golden cross.
Well, we have a raiding party here from Nyx who's now trying to steal your 60-foot golden cross.
Oh, well, welcome, Raiders. Yeah,
I can crucify 20 Christians at once on this thing. All at the same time.
It's like a production line you got set up. It's like early industrialization. We've got a conveyor belt of Christians going into the nail machine.
First they join the lions, then they get on the cross.
Yeah. Well, so my big, I think Imperator is in a really much better place right now. I think it is just a much more well-rounded and much more smoothly functioning game. My biggest two wishes: I want more barbarian content, more for Iberia, more for the Gauls, more for the Dacians, the Germans, the Britons, and I want a timeline. I really, really, really want a timeline extension. Those are the two big things I want. Let me play up to the end of the Pax Romana at least. If you want to do Crisis of the Third Century, maybe eventually, that would be cool. But I'd be happy if we get Pax Romana and then that's where Imperator stops.
And then we need a new game that will fill in the blank period between the end of Imperator and the beginning of CK3.
Yeah, my favorite period of European history is
you just hate Rome and you like to see them fall.
Yes.
Yeah. Fall of Rome's great.
There's something.
I mean,
Lambert, it's the same reason when you see your son. Lambert, when your son sits there and he builds a tower out of blocks and then he like hits it and just laughs as it falls down.
Oh, it's supposed to be him that hits
satisfying.
I thought that was my job.
That's what my son does.
I think my big wish is that the people who have sworn off Imperator, they saw it released, they didn't like it, they were influenced by whatever, doesn't matter, and they didn't pick it up again. They give it a try because it has changed a lot. And, maybe you'll try it. It might still not be for you. But don't go in with the same mindset that you have right now of, oh, yes, Imperator bad. And, using that meme that you keep repeating. Just give it a try.
Well, it's the same with Stellaris, right? I mean, Stellaris has changed so much since launch.
Yeah.
That another go.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, if you haven't played Imperator since 1.0 or 1.1 or even like 1.2, like, think of this as Imperator 2. I mean, it's an utterly different game now. If they had made a sequel, this is probably the same amount of change you would expect going from a first game to a sequel at this point. So, give it a try.
They also changed for branding, so that's how you know.
The UI, I love the new UI.
It's not even something we touched on, but we
didn't even discuss it. But I mean, there's still some
we've
weird.
discussed it in images.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
I still don't like the little spaghetti arrows so much on the text screen.
Oh,
that is because they are generated by the computer. All that you're doing when you're putting all of these inventions in is saying this invention comes as a prerequisite of this one, and that's it. So it will automatically generate these entire trees for you. And I will point out again, if you think all you need to do is, this is a prerequisite of this, what if you replaced prerequisite with son of or daughter of? You could make a family tree with this system so easily. I think modders should probably try that. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
We probably got some chat.
Still haven't touched the culture screen. Still don't know how this works. It's like navies and Hoi 4. I just don't look at it and hope for the best. It's still a little overcomplicated, I think. I do want to play around with some of these cultural integration speed things to see if that ends up being a good strategy in the long run. But I mostly conquered Gauls, and I gave the Gauls rights, and then I didn't give anyone else shit. That was basically my strategy. if you're in our same culture group, we're gonna be buds. Otherwise, get in the quarry. No, you don't get paid. What are you talking about?
Get on the Golden Cross.
Yeah, we eventually need a few of you to be integrated so that we can unlock Kelto-Italic military traditions. But other than that,
Being able to go into other cultures' traditions if you have integrated them is something that I was a bit skeptical on and now really love.
Yeah, because I mean, you can combine all of these great bonuses now with like the ability to build roads, which I was hoping to eventually get, but the timer ran out. Please give me a timeline extension.
That'd be really good when you're like playing as 3 angles and you're inevitably to like, try and conquer Britain because you have to.
There's no way in Imperator, is there? I mean, I know you could play past this end date before.
You can click the like continue playing button. It's not like recommended, and there's no new content. Because I mean, eventually you're going to run out of technologies. It's not balanced around the idea that you're going to keep playing past the end date. Like there'll be too many pops. It'll, stuff like that. But there's technologies in here for like build road cost. I didn't get to.
Well, you can build roads.
Oh, can you?
You are, all you need is Civic Tech 5. Your armies can build roads right now.
It says need Roman roads. Is that a technology? No, I don't have access to roads.
It's the other road button on the other side.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't ever look at what that was, so
So is it 2 types of roads?
You probably would have had time to conquer everything you wanted if your armies could move just that little bit faster.
Well, part of it is I was trying to let my aggressive expansion decay before I started another war. I probably didn't need to do that, but I was already on the brink of civil war so often that I didn't want the stability hit from constantly being at high aggressive expansion, which I could have fixed by going into more oratory technologies, of course. But
I think that really those techs are really powerful, the ones for aggressive expansion reduction.
Oh, yeah.
Because high aggressive expansion lowers your stability, which ain't good. It's something that you really want to avoid.
Well, we have talked a lot about Imperator. This update just has so much to go over that there's no way we're going to be able to cover it all, but we're going to have our Heo on next week. His title's still game director, right? I want to make sure I'm getting that right. He's the game director for Imperator. If you have questions for him, bring those with you next week. Because there's a lot to go over. I really like the state that Imperator's in right now. I do think you should give it another try, especially if you haven't played it since like 1.0 or 1.1 or 1.2 even. This is the best it's ever been. There are still some things I'd like to see fixed, but like if this had been 1.0, I don't think there would have been even a fraction of the amount of drama that there actually was originally. I will say
we would never have gotten this game without the drama. I don't think we would.
Oh yeah.
Because
can you release any video game without drama these days?
True. Or Dev Diary apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Imperator got started on this path because of the drama, the backlash, the whatever. And I think I still need to just appreciate the hell out of Johan for having the balls to just say, okay, let's change it then. Because it really does take a lot of bravery, I think, to radically change your vision into something that right now I think is really in a good place and has been moving in the right direction since 1.2. So massive props to Johan, massive props to Arheo as well.
And no props to the Moria because they did not embrace Buddhism, it looks like.
Well, I mean,
what the hell?
Yeah.
There's only 2 Buddhist provinces left.
Is there full Tibet yet? Come on, I have to ask.
No. I don't know if there are any formable tags up here yet. The idea of Tibet, I don't think existed in this time period, but
it's tragic.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but what kind of coal do they have in Tibet?
Province is called Tibet. Okay.
There you go. Go play there.
Yeah. I haven't played on this side of the map at all in a couple patches, actually. So.
I don't think I have, actually. In 1600 hours, I don't think I've played in India. Other than conquering it as Bactria.
I did a really fun run as that unpronounceable island down there at the bottom, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And we built really tall up on the island, and then I kept joining wars as allies and then stealing slaves and taking them back to my homeland.
Yeah, no, I do that a lot. Like, I'll join somebody else's war. It's like, I don't really need to be involved in this, but I can appreciate how that go carpet siege and get a bunch of slaves. Yeah.
Well, yep. Down in that region is one of the only regions of the world that has that much concentration of farmlands. And farmlands are the best provinces in the game. The only other one is obviously the Nile Delta and in Mesopotamia. But yeah, Pandian region is chock full of farmlands, which is just great for population growth. So it can be really powerful if you start down there.
As you can see here, 55% of my population are slaves. That's mostly because
just rude.
It's mostly because I was going around joining my allies' wars and then carpet sieging all the enemy territories so that I could get as many bring back as many slaves as possible.
See, my Roman Empire of 9,000 pops only has 37% slaves. So clearly, what this means is that the Romans were much more, freedom loving and kind and loving than the Gauls, and the Gauls clearly deserve what they got.
Well, this is the B2 Riges, so I leaned very heavily into the nobility angle of their whole shtick. So yeah, I mean, I've got academies all over the place. Yeah, it's
Asterix and Obelix can suck on a gladius.
Rose, what have you been up to lately, and where can people find your stuff?
I've mostly been over on YouTube. Did a dev diary video, have another video that should be coming up tomorrow on CK3. And I will have to be checking out Imperator. And that's about it. I'll try and stream, but streams are hit or miss at the moment.
Lambert, what about yourself? I know I mentioned your review of this patch, which I still recommend everybody go check out.
Well, I released today a video where I interviewed Arheo, which I recorded on Friday afternoon. Friday evening, I lost my voice and all other bodily functions as I got killed with the flu. And up until today, like a few hours ago, I was still coughing and horrible and just full of plague. So I haven't managed to get a Let's Play out of Imperator Rome yet, but that is in the works, and I'm hoping to start recording that tomorrow. And I'm going to be playing as the Antigonids, which have got a very fun new few mechanics that I would love to try out. So look forward to that. There's also the aforementioned review that has been doing relatively well. And
it was really good. Yeah,
I'm fairly happy with it, although I really kind of fucked up the audio, unfortunately, because audio is really hard. But yeah, other than that, there's going to be more Imperator, more CK3, more EU4, just, grand strategy stuff on the Twitches and the YouTubes.
Fantastic. Lorris, what's been going on in your world?
It's just no more boring building updates, I'm afraid. So
that's what people actually listen for. Remember? That's
yeah.
What kind of coal do you fire in your house?
It depends, actually. It depends on how cold it is. If it's really cold, I use some anthracite because it burns hotter.
Oh yeah.
If it's not, I use some bituminous because it's cheaper.
I don't even know where I would go to buy coal. Like, are there just like coal stores that you can go?
Yeah, it's so Wales. That's all we got. Yeah.
It's like I can go buy firewood from the like local convenience store, but like they don't have coal. They don't have like a box of coal that you can.
Oh yeah. Like we got every store's got coal pretty much. I get mine delivered though because I'm decadent. So.
Wow. Oh, so
bloody bouge.
Yeah.
It's like Uber for coal. Yeah. Gosh, there's got to be a pun there with some delivery app.
Bituminous coal.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it.
It's like, close. It's not great.
I got to workshop this offline. I'll be back. I'll be back next week. I probably am going to want to be streaming some Imperator as well. My channel is Lore Sworn Order. We have an AC Valhalla playthrough that's going to be resuming very soon. I know I said that last week, and then I ended up like it was Sunday and like an hour before I was supposed to stream, and I was like, wow, I haven't even like checked to make sure my OBS settings are correct with this new setup after I moved. I should probably do this on Saturday so that I'm not rushing around to get it all ready at the last minute. But yeah, I'd love to play some. I'd love to stream some Imperator and also some CK3. I really want to get back to the core games that most people have followed me for over the years as well. And yeah, so expect that soon. And we'll be back here next week with Arheo, do a big Imperator interview. So that'll be a good time.
So tweet us your questions at NoCBcast on Twitter.
Tweet them, or you can come post them in chat on the day of. Either way, whatever works better for you, we'll try to catch everything.
Let us on our postcards. Yeah. Send it to the PO box.
You can just stand outside your house and yell. We have pretty good hearing, so it should be fine. Yeah. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.